firstlings of the fruit of his flocks and their fat portion. And the Lord had regard for Abel and for his offering. What's happening here now is this. So you can imagine Adam and Eve now has their family. He has his older son, Cain. He has the younger son, Abel. And they would do the normal things. And they were raised up following the traditions of Adam and Eve. And we can infer here that they were raised up worshiping God. Because verse 3 and 4 is an imagery of worshiping. They were now making offerings to God. So this is a worship scene. And when the Bible said, so it came about in the course of time, it seems to say that it's broad enough that they have been doing this for quite some time. They've been worshiping God by making sacrifices and offering. If you note something here, Cain offered what? Plants, right? Fruits. Abel offered animals. God did not tell Cain to offer animals, nor did he tell Abel to offer fruits. What am I saying? The worship that they did is appropriate to where they are. You can worship God. You don't have to be a certain person. You don't have to be part of a certain group or part of you don't have to be rich or poor, young or old, smart or dumb, a farmer, a teacher. You can worship no matter what your circumstances are. What God expects of you when He worships is what you have. He does not expect you to bring something that you do not have. Our church might be small, but it does not mean that God will find less importance to this. We are accountable based on what God has given us. So for Cain, what was expected was the fruit. For Abel, what was expected was the livestock. Because that is their business or livelihood or their way of life. Anyone can worship. But if you look closely, at the surface, there seems to be a difference. You will note that Cain offered what? Just a fruit. Right? In verse, it says, so it came about in the course of time that Cain brought an offering to the Lord of the fruit of the ground. It's just a fruit. The Bible tells us in Exodus 23, you shall bring the first fruits of your soil. But Cain just brought the fruit, not the first fruit. While Abel, on his part, brought what? The firstlings and the fat portion. Meaning what? He was giving the best. The very best that he had. I realized something about worship. Worshiping God requires us to give our very best. When we are worshiping God, it's not enough just to give Him something. when we are worshiping God, we are to give Him the very best. Not just our time, the best of our time. Not just our attention, the best of our attention. A lot of times people, when they worship, they don't give their best. They feel that I'm just here and that's enough. Here we see Cain was worshiping. Abel was worshiping. But the worship of Cain was not accepted by God. But the worship of Abel was accepted by God because he gave his best. Go to Malachi, please. Malachi chapter 1. Last book of the Bible, of the Old Testament. Malachi chapter 1. Verse 6 says, O son, honor his father, and his servant his master. Then if I am a father, where is my honor? If I am a master, where is my respect, says the Lord of hosts to you. O priests who despise my name. But you say, how have we despised your name? You are presenting defiled foods upon my altar. But you say, how have we defiled you? In that you say, the table of the Lord is to be despised. Verse 8, but when you present the blind for sacrifice, is that not evil? And when you present lame and sick, is that not evil? Why not offer it to your governor? Would he be pleased with you? Or would he receive you kindly, says the Lord of hosts? But now, I will not entreat God's favor, that he may be gracious to us with such an offering on your part. He will receive any of you kindly, says the Lord of hosts. Verse 10. Oh, that there were one among you who would shut the gates, that you might not uselessly kindle fire at my altar. I am not pleased with you, says the Lord of hosts, nor will I accept your offerings from you. For from the rising of the sun to its setting, my name will be great among all the nations. And every place incense is going to be offered to my name, and a grain offering that is pure, for my name will be great among the nations, says the Lord of hosts. It's not enough to just attend. It's not enough to just be here. It's not enough to just worship and offer something to God. And God is saying, you think I will accept this? Are you kidding me? You must be. I'm the King of Kings. I'm the Lord of Lords. I'm the Mighty One. And you give me that? Give that to the governor. Tell me, give that to the governor and tell me if he'll be pleased with you. He'll not. So better yet, step out. Step out, shut the door. Because I will not accept your sacrifice. Even if you're not here. Even if you're not worshiping me. Know this. All around the world, I am being worshipped. And yet, a lot of people are like Cain. Including myself. I don't offer my best to God. I don't give Him my whole heart. And we think it's okay. Clearly the Bible says, it ain't okay. And we will only give the best if we believe that the one that we're giving, the gift, is worthy. Worthy of our attention. Worthy of our time. I remember when I was still single, studying, and as I shared in the past, my parents did not allow me to worship God on Sundays. But I would make takas. I would give 1,001 excuse why I'll not be at home at that time. It's so obvious. And you know what? I remember sleeping early at night. I remember, I don't wear perfumes kasi much at the early part of my life, except on Sundays. And Sundays, I would put perfume. On Sundays, I would put my linen pants. I mean, I would really dress up. Not for anybody. Then I would go to church 1 hour before. And I would start praying already. Simply because, and no one told me to. Totally no one told me to. I was just doing it on my own. Out of my own volition, I just want to be with you, my God. And I slept early kasi nga ayokong puyat. I want to go there na groggy. And I remember, I told myself, I have a rule. And I don't know if you guys do this. I have a rule before. Never to look at my watch. Praise God, I don't wear a watch anymore. But never to look at my watch. Because I was telling myself then, just looking at the times and insult to God. To me, that was just my argument to myself. And I was trying to give my very best as I attend that worship, to worship Him. That to me is implicit to the passage. Or explicit, I'm sorry, to the passage. But I realized in the New Testament, God gave specifically, because in the text, when I said the firstlings and fruits, that's just implied. I'm just implying that probably is. But in the New Testament, God gave the reason why He accepted the offerings of Abel and not that of Cain. Go to Hebrews, please. Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1 says, Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the convictions of things not seen. In the Old Testament, the men and women there had nothing to hold on but simply the promises of God. They had no visual evidence of what the future lies. And all they had to hold on was God, His promises. The thing with the men of old is when God spoke, they believed. They believed so much that they had to adjust their behaviors in life. Their pattern of life, their behaviors.